but you don't necessarily see like what's left over.
Oh,
right?
exactly. Yeah. So, well, that's one of the angles of sustainability that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And here we're at the dump of Cal State Long Beach, where, you know, a lot of beautiful art is being made. And here's the result of, you know, that process that we don't see, which is all the waste. And, you know, how many times an artist has to try a different process or a different method to get what they want out of it, you know, can end up in actually a huge environmental impact.
Yeah.
So we have to, what our thing is more of a consciousness raising of choice of materials as opposed to the statement you're going to make. You know, if you're going to go ahead and make a radioactive sculpture if you want, you know, but, you know, we want to see the good reason why and what does it address, you know, and if there's an alternative, why not use that?
Sure. How about the process? Are there connections between the materials that are left over and those other art projects that might be able to use those leftover materials? Are there things that are addressing that? Because it seems like a great way to deal with the feedback loop.
And, you know, a lot of sculptors who are into assemblage and stuff, you'll find a lot of recycling in that kind of art making.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. There's kind of an art making for posterity, let's say, where you want to use the finest materials that last the longest.
Right.
And that's kind of an old-fashioned sense of artistic achievement, though. You know, that's like, is your ego so big that you have to make this monolith forever kind of thing, you know? Or are you making a statement that you just want to communicate an idea to the people here today, like in an effective and meaningful way? But, you know, it's an art object that gets the attention that you want.
Yeah. One of the things for me is, you know, you see all this cardboard and all these different things that are discarded here. You know, a fan probably from a studio space that broke, right? But, you know, someone who knows, I guess what would be inspirational for a lot of people is if they actually, some of the stuff was cataloged and actually tracked, and so then you could see.
That's a very good point. It occurred to me as I was talking to an associate of mine from Otis, and I was wondering, what if we could get a school to participate in a program where they recorded all the waste that they made during a quarter of art making, and maybe weighed it and categorized it and saved it, so that they could show, like, have their quarter show, and here's all the art, and then they would have the back show, and here's all of the stuff that we needed to use to make the art.
Sure.
So you would have the balance of both.
Absolutely. And I think it's fascinating too, since you're in a school environment, it's actually easier to say work with a business department that's really good with tracking, and like, so then you look at supply chains, which is the supply chain of art, and track it from that perspective. And then the other component could be like the web department and the technology department to create the website where people can go on and search for this stuff.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And universities have such a diverse group of people working for them. Why not? Right?
Yeah, here's the chance that you can do that, where you kind of have a captive group of artists making stuff so that you can study them. You know, it's not like just one guy in his studio, which may be easier, but here, what I think of is, think of all the universities there are.
Yeah.
And so if you can catalog or find out just from one study what one makes, then you'll have an idea of what we're really talking about on a worldwide scale of how much debris is being made.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's awesome. And if like every university, every school, a lot of schools have art departments, right? And even like elementary schools and middle schools and places like that use a lot of materials, but they have to buy it. They have to either deal with really cheap stuff, or they don't have materials a lot of times to deal with. So if they had access to like an inventory like this, then it might be, you know, they could have access to canvas, leftover canvas, or, you know, cardboard to do certain things that you wanted to do, or in this case, like, you know, that newspaper, this sort of brown paper here. A lot of people use that for...
The keys, I think, to sustainability is reusing and reusing.
Yeah.
You know, so if you give something a second or third life, not just as a piece of garbage, but all of a sudden it's a medium now, you know. And that medium isn't looked down upon, like, oh, it's not oil painting, it's not going to be great. So what? You know what I mean? You're still exercising this creativity, and that's kind of what art is all about.